Spurs away on Thursday. It's a big one. In my opinion, this is the biggest Premier League game that we've got left this season. If we win on Thursday, and I think we can, top 4, I would say, is done. It won't be mathematically secure. We're 6 points ahead of them with 2 games in hand. Go 9 points ahead with 2 games in hand. That's a cushion I think we can hold on to, even if there are wobbles. And there probably will be some. But I'm going to run through my team news. Ten Hag's been speaking about Bruno's injury, speaking about everybody else. I'm going to run through my predictions, my starting 11 questions. After that, semi-final performance against Brighton. So many things to speak about. Make sure you drop a like on the video. But yeah, Man United are going into this game. Look, we had the severe knockback. And what happened? There was a response, just like there's been all season long. Plenty of setbacks, plenty of responses. Now, can we continue that against Spurs, who are, I don't know how many managers they've had this season now. I seriously don't. Now, of course, the biggest question that we've got around the starting 11 is, will Bruno Fernandes be fit? Erik Ten Hag provided an update on that in his pre-match press conference, said that Martinez is unavailable. We know that. Varane's unavailable. We have to see how Bruno Fernandes is. We don't know yet. He is a question mark. I think for the rest, we are quite okay. Going into a little bit more detail, said, look, it's more often that players, we protect them. Prevention, it has to settle down. But Bruno, we know he played on. And the injury he sustained, he got in the first half. So Bruno could well be available. And remember that Bruno, I don't think, has ever missed a game in his entire career through injury and illness. That really is a mad stat. Really is mad. But he may well not be available. And we'll run through the options if he isn't. But Spurs, look, when you get a wounded animal, right, will the team respond? Will there be a new manager bounce after Stellini's gone and Ryan Mason's come in? Yeah, look, they've released this statement saying, look, they're going to refund the fans for those who travelled up there. They lost 6-1. It was a humiliation. It was an embarrassment. They're not a well-sustained or well-run football club right now. They're reeling. Sometimes that can make a team more dangerous. Erik Ten Hag has made it clear he doesn't want these players to go in there and let them use that as an advantage. If this was at Old Trafford, I think we could probably say with real confidence that United are going to breeze past it. It makes it more difficult away from home, and the fans will be demanding a response. But this was the team that United played at Wembley against Brighton. And I do think there will be some changes. And of course, I think the majority of that revolves around whether or not Bruno Fernandes is going to be fit. Now, De Gea and Lindelof. De Gea played brilliantly during the 90, I would say, in terms of his shot stopping. Made some really important saves. And Man United played a hell of a lot more direct. I don't think we'll play as direct at Spurs. You can't hear Ten Hag saying he wants Manchester United to dominate and dictate a game, and then United do the exact same. We can't dominate and dictate a game if we play like we did against Brighton. We kicked the ball long. We then tried to win it further up the pitch. That's not dominating and dictating the game. So in that sense, it might be a switch. And if there's a switch, De Gea is going to have to switch on because we can't get a repeat of Sevilla. But Lindelof was brilliant. He keeps his place in this team without a shadow of a doubt. I've always, you know how Fred and McTominay got labelled together and I said that was unfair. In their own right, they're decent enough footballers. Lindelof and Maguire as a partnership doesn't work. But it doesn't mean Lindelof's a bad centre-back. I think we saw that against Brighton. I think we'll see it hopefully against Spurs as well. And Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw will keep his place there. Harry Maguire might be available now, but I'd be so surprised. I really would be if Erik Ten Hag decided to drop Lindelof to the bench and bring Maguire back in. I think he keeps both of those together. And of course, Wan-Bissaka plays on that wing. He'll be up against Son, but look, Matoma, pocketed. Sterling, easy. Whoever else it was this season. And there's been plenty more. Matoma said that it was a complete defeat, his performance against Wan-Bissaka, and it was wonderful. I actually do think that back five will stay the same. I think Delot out of that back five, it's not that Delot had a bad performance against Brighton, it's just that the others took the limelight, particularly Shaw and Lindelof. Actually, no, sod that. It was all three of them. They all played well. I think that back five stays together, right? I don't particularly see a need to change that, certainly after keeping a clean sheet and the way that everybody played, Wan-Bissaka, Shaw and Lindelof. But it's when you move into midfield that you get the questions. Will Bruno Fernandes be fit? You can let me know what you think in the comments below. But I think there's question marks to be asked around him as well. Because Christian Eriksen, right? It was no surprise to see him taken off against Brighton. And I think since his return from injury, he's just looked a little bit short. Forest was obviously his best game when he was deep, not under much pressure, was kind of allowed to dictate the play. Because Forest gave us the space and Eriksen really punished them for it. I don't think he'll get that space against Spurs. And certainly, you would imagine, right, that Spurs are going to be some sort of response. As I said, sometimes a wounded animal can be a good thing because they're a weaker team with a soft underbelly. I hope that's going to be the case, but I actually have no idea what Spurs are going to turn up. They could well use that new manager bounce, if you want to try and call it that, for Ryan Mason and the response, or they could sink further. And I'm hoping they sink further. But I'll tell you what, Casemiro's going to have a better game. I think Eriksen will too, if he starts. Casemiro just looked a little bit short of his pace, of his quality, and his dominance in these last few games. But I think Casemiro starts. I don't think Casemiro. I think Casemiro will definitely start. I suppose, whether or not Bruno Fernandes is fit as to whether I think Eriksen will start. Because if Bruno Fernandes isn't fit, I think you see this, right? Bruno on the bench, and I think you see Fred come in to that position now. Now, Fred. Is Fred the best number 10 in the world? No, he is not. However, if I'm looking at blueprint performances from Ten Hag, I'm still looking at Spurs at home, where Fred scored. I think we won 2-0. Did Bruno score as well? I think he did. And Fred was man of the match, not just because of his goal, but relentless pressing from the front against Spurs, and they could not cope with it. They couldn't cope with it. It's the best, as I said, in terms of this quote from Ten Hag, make sure we're on the front foot, dictating, dominating the game. I think Fred's got to start. If you want to do that right now, I think Fred's got to start. However, in the number 10 role, he's not very good at linking up, is he? So there's going to be a weakness there, but that's going to have to be for Eriksen to dictate. So I think you're probably likely, if Bruno's not fit, I think you're likely to see that. But you might be likely to see that anyway, because of how Fred plays on that front foot. I don't know. If Bruno is fit, of course Bruno plays. But maybe if Bruno plays, he plays a little bit deeper. But maybe Eriksen's a little bit more assured on the ball in his own half compared to Bruno. If you play up against a team that presses, I think he would be. I'm pretty confident that'll be the midfield three. Casemiro, Eriksen, and Fred. And if Bruno maybe is fit to come on and play some minutes in the second half, then he will. And when you look at our attack, I personally think the only player right now who absolutely starts for Manchester United in attack is Antony. I think his form's very good. He's impacting games. He's influencing games. He's tracking back. He's developing. The sort of slights that were aimed towards Antony for how he was playing early this season, I think he's improved quite a lot. Still room to improve more. But I think Antony, for me, is the only certainty out of that front three. And the reason I'm saying that is this, right? Marcus Rashford and Anthony Martial, they both didn't look 100% fit against Brighton. Martial went off against Sevilla, then played 85 minutes? I don't know how. He played nearly the full 90 against Brighton. And as we've seen this season, that typically means that the game after, I just don't know. I don't think Martial looked 100% fit, and I don't think Rashford looked fit. However, of the two who are likely to start when they're not 100% fit, you're definitely looking at Marcus Rashford, and I think Ten Hag will start him. But I actually think we'll see this from the start. You might not like it, but again, if we're talking about being on the front foot, then we're looking at a pressing game, and you're probably looking at Weghorst's movement. And I know that we're a better team. Don't come on. Don't waste your time in the comments. However, if we're looking for the first 45 minutes away from home, and we're just looking to try and hold some possession, maybe you'd say Martial's better, but from pressing for the front, if you've got Fred there and you've got Weghorst there, you've got more movement from United up front. And that will help United win the ball back a little bit earlier. And then, if we can, and he's fit enough, bring Martial on for the last 30 minutes. That's when Weghorst's job is done as the workhorse. And then, against more tired legs, Martial would have more of an opportunity to make the difference. I would prefer it to see it that way around in this game. Now, Ten Hag typically starts with his strongest team. I think maybe it's a slightly different approach in this one. As I said, Antony starts, and Sancho, I was so happy that Sancho scored his penalty. So happy. That exercised a lot of demons for him, and Rashford as well. Big up to both of those. I don't think Sancho starts this game. I think we're seeing a little bit more of an impact from Sancho from the bench than we are from Sancho from the starting 11, right now anyway. Which was what Garnacho was early this season. Sancho can make a difference, but I think he'll do it from the bench. And that's what my starting 11 prediction is, right? Let's go full screen. I think we'll keep the same back five. I think we'll see Fred come in for Bruno. And I think we'll see Weghorst start instead of Martial, with Martial and Sancho. Look, if Bruno is, say he's fit to play a little bit of this game, but he's not fit to start, that means our bench could have Martial, Bruno, and Sancho. They are game-changing substitutions. I want to see Casemiro play better. But this Spurs team is wounded, right? That's the statement they put out. Ten Hag said he wants his team to dominate and be on the front foot. That's why I brought Fred in if Bruno's not fit. If Bruno's fit, Bruno plays there. Simple as that. And maybe Eriksen drops to the bench for Fred. And you see Fred playing in a double pivot alongside Casemiro there. See, that could well be the case. If Bruno's fit, that's probably what happens, right? I think Eriksen will be the player that drops to the bench. But if Bruno isn't fit, I mean, you could actually... I might ignore that altogether, and you could have Fred there and just Eriksen coming in the number 10 role. It's one of those two. Either Eriksen in number 10, Fred alongside Casemiro, or Eriksen playing deeper with Fred then allowed to play a little bit further forward and use that pressing from the front. And I think that's a real strength of Fred's game. So I don't know why you'd actually play him there. My prediction for this game. It's a big one, man. As I said, I think it's the biggest Premier League game we've got left this season. Win this, top 4 is ours, man. If we were to win this and then lose top 4 from that position, that would be a catastrophe. I'm going to go for a draw, though. Surely there's going to be a response from Spurs. And they're at home, our away form, playing in hostile atmospheres. We know that that's where our weakness is this season. Playing without Bruno is going to be another weakness. Playing with Rashford and Martial right now, who don't look 100% fit. Eriksen doesn't look 100% fit. We're not operating at 100%. But that was enough to get past Brighton on penalties. I think it'll be enough to get a draw against Spurs. Score draw. Don't know what the score will be, but that's my prediction. What's yours? You let me know in the comments below. But if United can win, even just avoiding defeat, really, I think top 4's ours. Let me know what your predictions are in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. The Spurs, see you tomorrow.